remember my 8th birthday at the KCC with that giant cake and Aunt Evie showing up on leave, surprising all of us. I remember Mom. I remember Codger. I remember school and going to the movies and Friday night pizza and cartoons and Grandma and Grandpa and church, those summer barbecues and the kiddie pool you got me. Could have used that at the prison. You told me about the walks we'd take when I was 3. You holding my hand around the neighborhood all the way to Ross's farm. I didn't know that I remembered them, but I do. Because I see the sun and the corn and that cow that walked up to the fence and looked me in the eye. And you told me about all that stuff, but it isn't just that stuff, it's how I felt. Holding your hand, I felt happy and special. I felt safe. I thought growing up was about getting a job and maybe a family, being an adult, but growing up is making yourself and the people you love safe. As safe as you can, because things happen. They happened before. You were shot before things went bad. Kind of felt like things went bad because you were shot. I want to make you feel safe, Dad. I want you to feel just like I felt when you held my hand. Just to feel that way for 5 minutes. I'd give anything to make you feel that way now. I wanted to kill Negan. I wish I did. Maybe it would have been done. I don't think it's done now. He went out there again, but I don't think they surrendered. I don't think they will surrender. There are workers in there, Dad. They're just regular people, old people, young people, families. You don't want them to die, Dad. We're so close to starting everything over, and we have friends now. It's that bigger world Jesus talked about. The kingdom, the hilltop, there's gotta be more places. More people out there, a chance for everything to change and keep changing. Everyone giving everyone the opportunity to have a life, a real life. So if they won't end it, you have to. You have to give them a way out. You have to find peace with Negan. Find a way forward somehow. We don't have to forget what happened, but you can make it so that it won't happen again. That nobody has to live this way, that every life is worth something. Start everything over. Show everyone that they can be safe again without killing, that it can feel safe again, that it can go back to being birthdays and school and jobs and even Friday night pizza somehow, and walks with a dad and a 3-year-old holding hands. Make that come back, Dad. And go on those walks with Judith. She'll remember them. I love you, Carl.
Hello, and thank you for calling Squawking Dead, the podcast that breaks down AMC's tour de force cash cow series, The Walking Dead. En español, diga número dos. To listen to Carol complain about Negan, then eventually go full #Team Negan, press pound. To listen to Dave wax philosophical on a point that literally nobody could have ever thought of, only to end on a corny joke that only he himself laughs at, also press pound. If you're expecting a better intro and would rather us start over again, hang up and call again next week when Squawking Dead takes on the Season 8 finale of The Walking Dead and the Season 4 premiere of Fear the Walking Dead. If you're still on the line, please hold for the most ornery of operators, the intellectual philosopher that oozes customer service, and the supervisor that will definitely beat the man to be the man even though she's a woman, Carol.
You get creative and creative every week. Every week. I never
Yeah.
know what to expect. I was pumped for this episode. This episode was awesome.
I don't have the words, the vocabulary to actually explain it. I wouldn't call it awesome, but I definitely would call it shit in pants.
It was so funny because a lot of time I don't get a chance to see the episode when it airs exactly. Sometimes I have to watch it like an hour later when they repeat it or watch it on DVR because hashtag mom life. And
Darn.
and yeah, it was funny because, I was texting you and I was like, so how is it? And you were like, oh, I don't know if you're going to be Team Negan after this. And then I watched it and I think I texted you back. I was like, still Negan, still Team Negan.
And I was like, and then I was arguing with you for some reason, like as if I could change your mind.
I'm like, nope.
Because that's not the point of this show. We're not in it to change people's minds or each other's minds. We're just here to just crush things, just crash.
Yeah, wax philosophical about this.
I crash your point. That's how we do.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed it. I mean, I agree. It's not a perfect episode, and there are things that I take issue with in terms of I don't know how much that makes sense. But overall, there was a lot more that I liked than I disliked. So.
I think I would agree with that. There's definitely a lot of confrontation.
Yes.
I don't know about resolution, but...
Right, exactly. I don't know necessarily about resolution, and it makes me concerned going into the season finale because I feel like we have quite a bit of loose ends to tie up. And I think we all know what Abraham said about loose ends.
No, tell us about loose ends.
You just want me to say
what did
it.
Abraham... Yeah, of course I do.
Abraham loved to say that loose ends make his ass itch.
Thank you. Well, you wanted me to say it? No, you're going to say it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I was the one who brought it up.
Exactly.
But there are a lot of loose ends. And so
that was our number one concern going in. Or like near the end. We're like, okay, wait.
We're very much near the end. And it's not going to be like one of those extended 90-minute episodes. It's going to be, from my understanding, like maybe a little over an hour, like maybe 75 minutes or something, I think. Because I think Fear comes on at 10:15 or something along those lines. I'm not sure.
Oh.
But it's not much. It's going to be pretty darn close to an hour episode. So,
or like a normal hour, minus the commercials.
Right. But there's a lot that still needs to kind of get wrapped up. So I really don't want to be going into the summer and waiting 6 months for season 9 and not knowing necessarily. I don't expect to know everything. They can tease certain things for season 9, but we got to come to some sort of resolution.
Well, it's not even that. Let's just put it this way. I'm not concerned that they'll come to a resolution because I know that they will.
Okay.
My only concern is that when they do, we'll feel satisfied enough with it.
True.
With the way they wrapped it up, basically.
Yeah. If their resolution meets our satisfaction.
Right. Which is, again, this is something that we've been concerned about, like episode 12, 13 forward. Hence the 13.1 update. Like, what are we going to do? What's going on? How's this going to end? Is this, considering they killed off Carl, like are we going to expect Negan to end? Or
what happened with Simon back in
2 episodes ago, right?
Yeah, about a couple episodes ago. In the comic, that battle happens with Negan, and it's pretty much the end of the war.
Oh, really? The hilltop battle. Isn't this the very episode you mentioned you were outraged that Jesus wasn't fighting Negan?
I was very outrageous about it because Jesus plays such a huge role in the comic, and I feel like Jesus has been kind of an afterthought on the show. Really, can you recall the last time you've seen him?
Well, we saw him, but it's just not any way meaningful, right?
No, it's fleeting. It's very fleeting. And even how do you necessarily redeem either character necessarily?
Rick and Negan, right?
Yeah, because you've seen Rick do some pretty brutal things just like an episode or so ago. So okay, I read Carl's letter, so now I'm full of mercy and forgiveness. Like that to me just doesn't make any sense, especially because Carl told you that on his deathbed. It's not like Carl's letter was filled with something that was like, mind-blowing that you didn't already know. You already knew his stance and how he felt about things, and you basically just kind of flipped it off and kind of, went on a rampage. Because in my mind, Negan's living. I don't think that they're killing him off.
Right, no, I don't think so either.
So how do you get the Rick that was in full kill mode to have a confrontation with Negan and decide, you know what, I'm not going to do that? Like how do you get from point A to point B?
Right. Right, our number one
that's
concern. Well, actually, our number two concern,
believably. Right.
So it's two things, actually. One is, if it wasn't for the previous episode, 14, I would say Carl's letter wouldn't have meant much, right? But there's another thing about that, and this is not even the second thing yet. I think this episode purposefully did not have any Rick scenes or Rick dialogue.
True. Yeah, I agree.
To cool you off a little bit, especially when you had that scene with Maggie, Michonne, and Rick with the map. They said, what are we going to do? And that was it. And then they just moved on. So I think they're giving us a little bit of a palate cleanser in order for the next episode to kind of make more sense, or to kind of unfold in a way where we can actually buy it. I hope.
Right.
Obviously, I don't know.
Right. But that's my hope also. I don't know. I don't know if the episode was made to like try and vilify Negan, but I say try.
Oh, for sure.
Try.
In my opinion. Right, yeah. Unsuccessful with you.
Unsuccessfully. And with many people, because honestly, like, I feel that this episode basically further exemplified why Negan is the leader. I mean, and
oh yeah, I can go with that. Yeah.
That's basically what it did.
He is a good leader, right?
When I was watching the episode, I was just basically watching it just sort of like, yeah, that's pretty badass. Yeah. You know, like, and I mean, yeah. So
that is not getting edited right there.
It's like
I see your point though. In an overwhelming amount of ways, Negan shows exemplary leadership skills, especially considering the predicament the world is in, right?
Yes, and he had a coup on his hands. I mean, you have somebody who's a leader, and you've got an uprising going on.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to make next. That's exactly right.
You have an uprising going on within your ranks. You have your right hand man that's basically gone rogue.
All your lieutenants,
are basically gone rogue. One of them is like selling you out. Yeah, you've got like one of them selling your secrets out to the enemy. Yep. You've got the other one who is basically going rogue and basically flipping off like your directions and doing what they see fit.
Right.
I mean, you got to get it under control. And
right.
You did.
Right.
Because I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, you can't just let like the inmates run the asylum. And I do like the way he handled Simon, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, he could have just hit him with Lucille when they were in the conference room or whatever. I'm like, well, no, that would have been far too easy. You know, and he gave him an opportunity there. And in Simon's mind, the guy just forgave you. And basically you're kind of thinking like, all the more reason for me to overthrow this dude, because he's really a wuss. I definitely should be the one leading this place. Right.
And we might as well get into this, because what you have to understand about the way the shots were lined up, even before we get to the conference room on the boardroom table, you have the confrontation with Dwight. Negan basically establishes a marker. In stage talk, the marker is basically where people stand on the stage.
Yes.
That cigarette butt was Dwight's marker. They moved the dumpster, by the way, while they were talking, right?
Yes. Good eye.
And you wouldn't think it was like anything meaningful, right? Oh, he's just doing a task while talking to Dwight to kind of ease him or something. But then if you watch the episode again, you're like, after seeing the show, obviously, you start to realize, oh, this is purposeful. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. He knows that there's no way to reason with Simon. And so you have to kind of wonder, why was he doing that? And I'm going to tell you right now, he knew from the start what he was doing. And are you on the same page as me? Because honestly,
I think so. I think I agree. I think
he needed to have it that way, because had he not done his bare knuckle standoff with Simon, he's basically trying to re-solidify people's respect for him on the pavement. Basically,
right.
If I die, I die. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to die. And you know what? If I beat Simon in a man-to-man fight, all the savers are going to be with me.
Yep.
I'm trying to re-tighten my ranks right now. So, so as you can see, so that you frame the shot with Dwight, and there's a basic understanding between them that, this is not a good situation that we're in with Simon.
Right.
And then you go to the boardroom scene. Negan basically takes it easy on Simon, knowing that Simon would disrespect him for forgiving him. And then the rest kind of unfolds.
Yeah. Exactly.
He shoots the key opposition soldiers that Simon has.
That was so awesome. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You were like, well, what's 3, 2? What is he counting down to?
3, 2, 1. I was like, oh crap. I was like, that's so awesome. I mean, terrible, but just
Oh, terrible,
but impressive.
But awesome.
I was impressed. I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, the whole entire plan, how he strategically, just like first of all, the way he did it was he snared everybody one by one by one, from Dwight to Simon, then Dwight again at the end of the episode. It's just and I think what they were trying to establish with this episode was, don't fuck with this guy.
No, exactly. And that was basically the point of this episode. It was like he had to reestablish his dominance and remind everybody who is in charge. And that's why I really liked the fact, and I think Stephen Ogg mentioned this on Talking Dead too, was the fact that he really enjoyed the whole setup and the whole scene, the whole, Fight Club kind of scenario, because he felt that, and I agree, it's really easy to be a big man with a weapon in your hand. It's very easy, with a bat, gun, whatever. It's another thing to stand, no weapons, mano a mano, and just go at it. That solidifies Negan's place in the hierarchy. That was done purposely to make a demonstration.
Remember when we were in high school and we were like, we heard about ultimate fighting and MMA?
Yes.
And my first thought was like, wow, this is a mistake. How are we getting to this level?
How are we getting to this level?
10 years later, when I finally watch a tournament or something.
Right.
I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. And first of all, the fighters couldn't have more respect for each other. And and second of all, I couldn't have more respect for them too.
Yeah.
The way they carry themselves, the way they actually fight, the
and that's what
training.
I'm saying. I respect a fight like that. Like what happened between Simon and Negan, I respect that far more. I mean, although I will say it's really funny that Simon got a sucker punch in. I think that's very much in character with Simon.
And I think he purposefully maybe even let him get a few shots in too.
I'm going to miss Stephen Ogg. I'll say it. It's like, I knew this was coming, right? Simon was not surviving this season, and he was not going to survive this war. I wasn't sure out of whose hands it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen.
I was kind of dreading that it would be Negan, by the way, in a way.
Really?
Yeah.
You were hoping it would be like Jadis, or like maybe the Oceanside or something.
Jadis, Oceanside, exactly. Well, and hey, one more thing
that came to light.
He basically made it right at the very least with Jadis.
And it was confirmed that Simon was the one responsible for the murder of the men and the boys at Oceanside, which is like what I've been calling it, because there is a code of ethics that Negan operates on. And I know I'm his biggest supporter and cheerleader, and I'm always like...
Yeah, not anymore, Carol. No ethics anymore. But it goes to what I was about to say about Negan in terms of leadership, though. It makes sense that he would make this move.
Yes.
I mean, even though he's absconding with his philosophy, which is a change, which is interesting.
And I feel that that's coming strictly from the point of view that this man has had it. I mean, he was left out to die basically by his lieutenants, you know?
Right.
I mean, he's got Rick gunning for him. He has the people who are supposed to be on his side selling him out and gunning for him. If you put any animal in a corner, they're going to snap and attack. And I think that basically they've kind of relegated him to this point. When he was in that house with Rick, chasing each other around or whatever, I mean, he even was trying to negotiate there. He's like, look, I'll take, instead of 50%, I'll take 25%. You guys can live like 75% kings, which I thought was hilarious, by the way.
Which kind of goes against what you're just saying, though, because, I mean, in a way, he was kind of backed in a corner, and he still found a way to kind of charm or try to charm his way into, which I still had a problem with, but still.
Right. I mean, it's still dude, it's still extortion, you know?
Yeah.
But
it just seems a little foolish. A guy is trying to, literally take you down, kill you, probably piss on your ashes, that sort of thing. And you're going to lowball offer it. What's the point? You know?
Right.
So, but anyway. Yeah. But it does kind of go against your point just a little bit. And I'm not saying that I call bullshit.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I think that...
But Negan doesn't do that, is what I'm saying. It's like Negan doesn't react like that. That's the one thing he has demonstrated throughout 2 seasons and change.
I think that he's now at the point where he feels like, screw it, salt the earth. I'm just kind of over it. But at the same time, I feel like that's going to change too. They've kind of set these 2 men on a trajectory where they're both now just sort of like, I'm done with everything. All these people just need to go. I just don't know how you get to that point where they both walk out of this alive. Basically.
These like agents of chaos, basically, almost. I mean, we finally gotten Negan to a point where he is one, right? Which is a change. It's just a huge change in 2 seasons. And now you have these 2 opposing forces butting heads. Kind of a recipe for staging a final episode in a way that these characters are acting not irrationally, but differently than they would have normally.
Right.
I mean, Rick was a slow progression, but Negan, that was over the course of, I think, 3 or 4 episodes where he's, not having the best of luck. I mean, the one thing that on Negan's side that has been a slightly faster progression than Rick's, but slightly slower than his own downfall is, his lieutenants have been picked off or compromised over the course of maybe 5 or 6 episodes, whereas, but him himself finally descending to the level of absconding with his philosophy, that was kind of almost all at once.
Yeah.
And it is believable. I'll say that much. I can believe it. And it does show, for once, that Negan is kind of human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's willing to put aside his thing for revenge.
And that was a big concern of mine when they first introduced him.
So the question is really, though, is the way he's acting now by the end of this episode, the way he does in the comic, the wanting to genocide all these people at Hilltop. Is that attitude kind of he does finally reach that point in the comic?
No, because like I said, in the comic, that battle at the hilltop where Simon was at the helm, that is the end of the war. In the comics, there's no Simon, and Negan and Dwight are the ones who basically bring the troops over to the hilltop for this final battle where they have the infected weapons, and the idea is that they figure that they won't even really have to kill them because even with a wound, they'll turn and basically do the work for them, essentially. In the comic, Negan never finds out that Dwight was a double agent. That's never something that's uncovered. It's known maybe like after the war. But not during the duration of it. Dwight's never found out. So he shoots Rick with an arrow in the side, kind of like the arrow that hit Tara.
Right.
So in Negan's mind, he thought that Rick was dead. But I think that when they come back the next day,
dead,
see the aftermath. Yeah, because he figured like he got hit by an infected arrow, so he's going to turn. I think that they leave and they come back the next day to survey the damages and see that Rick is alive. Negan's like taken aback, and in the comics, Rick kind of appeals to Negan's better sense in terms of like, the idea of peace and then living together and blah, blah, blah. And it does convince Negan. But before Negan can really like come to a final conclusion of like, let's do that or whatever, it was all a ruse. And Rick takes out a knife and slices Negan's throat. And they get into a mano-to-mano last altercation where Negan, he's wounded, but he's not seriously wounded. He's wounded enough that he's losing blood, but he has enough energy before he passes out to break Rick's leg. And the war is over because both men are down.
So in a way, there is a sort of diversion because...
For sure.
At the original comic Hilltop battle, that was the last confrontation.
That was the last confrontation.
The intended one, but that was it. And this seems like there's no conversation about making amends and trying to have peace. There may still be that knockdown, drag-out brawl, but...
I think that there will still be that knockout, drag-out brawl.
Hence that flash forward, basically.
A lot of the clips from this coming week's episode showed Jesus finally doing something. I think he was like, I'm sorry, I'm so bitter about that.
No, I get it.
I think he was like karate kicking somebody or whatever. Like it looks like there's some combat going on.
Right.
So it makes me think that perhaps the bullets really will be defective in some sort of way or something.
So they're going to go hand to hand.
That altercation, the way it happens in the comic may go down the same way because something goes wrong with that ammunition.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but something. Father Gabriel sort of held hostage, Herschel style.
Yes, that's right. I was going to get to that at the end, but yeah, I mean, definitely worth bringing up now, especially.
So, yeah.
He's being held hostage. Eugene pulls a gun on him at one point, whether in the woods or something.
I don't know.
Father Gabriel's not having a good time. Just put it that way.
No. I got to think that Father Gabriel's not making it out of this week's episode.
I would be pleased if he was, though, honestly.
I don't know. I don't mind Father Gabriel, but we haven't seen anything from his point of view, so we don't know if his health is still deteriorating a lot or if it's, like curbed or whatever. But I just don't know based on the condition that he's in, like, God, are you really going to be able to survive this?
Yeah, he's still kind of in it right now too.
Yeah, so that's a concern.
Well, actually, I wanted to just say one more thing about Jesus is that I have a feeling that they may throw a curveball with him to kind of give him a little bit more juice, as Gregory said.
You're a man this week, man.
Yeah, but Jesus may end up having a confrontation with Gregory, in my mind. Okay. The only reason why I think that is it would be kind of interesting to finally reveal that these guys are brothers, which is interesting.
It would
Paul Monroe, Gregory Monroe.
We've never really understood what that relationship is.
It was never spoken.
No, never. It'd be crazy if Jesus was a son.
It would. Oh God. Ooh.
I mean, it could. Could.
Wow. I do see Gregory as maybe being the older brother who kind of mocked his younger gay brother or something.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it would be...
But yeah, that could be a good change, maybe. Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
And it would be a nice, interesting way of kind of having downplayed it for so long, like finally revealing it in the final analysis. It would be a good way of kind of saying, we still got your back, comics readers. You know?
Yeah.
After kind of screwing you several times in the last 2 seasons, basically.
God. I don't know.
But I kind of like the way they've been doing it, though. To know exactly what's coming, or even if they make small changes, right? Mm-hmm. You'll still know what's coming, and then you'll have the classic line of, "Oh, the book was better," that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
And so why bother? You know,
right?
Throw a couple curveballs.
Throw the curveballs.
Reformat the show a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it keeps things interesting. I'm interested. I don't know what's going to happen. I like the fact that they're kind of throwing a curveball in it because it makes me very curious to see, like, okay, how is this going to happen? How is Morgan going to go from one show to the other? Is that helicopter going to come down and pick him up? Maybe. I don't know. Is Heath going to be flying the helicopter? Maybe. I don't know.
I like the idea that you're bringing up about the helicopter actually really taking Morgan and bringing him somewhere else, like as maybe a vehicle to link the two worlds, something in which Morgan will be taken to wherever the setting is where Fear the Walking Dead is happening. Because maybe the government, being the middleman between the two shows, will actually eventually find a means to have these shows run in tandem. That could be another interesting idea that we haven't thought up, not only in just terms of the story, but in terms of being that vehicle that really, joins the two series together.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, like a bridge, sure.
By the way,
and the people behind that bridge more than anything else.
Right.
So you haven't watched a single episode, I'm guessing.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to be watching Fear. Doesn't matter. I'm going to watch it regardless.
Oh my God.
I'm going to watch it regardless. I don't care.
Okay.
I have the AMC app on my phone. I'm going to try to go to my car during my lunch hour tomorrow to try and watch some of these episodes. People tell me no matter what, they're like, seasons 1 and 2 were crap anyhow. So like just
I mean, season 3 kind of had its Herschel's Farm season.
Okay. That was like the Herschel Farm kind of like vibe.
In a weird way. I mean, obviously it was a little bit more exciting than Herschel's Farm, but
hey, Shane got killed on the farm.
Yeah, I'm not giving too much away, but well, a whole bunch of shit happens.
A whole lot of crap happened on that farm.
Yeah, well, this Camp Teotihuacan. Yes, that's right. The dynamics that go on. It's a compound. It's one of those end of the world compounds, basically.
The bunker.
It's a settlement, basically. They have a whole bunch of houses and tents and cabins and whatnot, with a mess hall in the middle. And it was basically designed to house a community for the end of the world, which it touches on some political points that have been happening, with the show. But it also touches on things that have happened throughout like the 90s and the 80s and all these things. You have these settlements with kooks that basically are preparing for the end of the world. They have supplies, they have this, they have like a fallout shelter, that sort of thing. Yeah, but for like, for when the apocalypse comes, they'll be there and they'll have a place to, when the whole world goes to shit, they'll have their community and they'll be strong. I think there was a kind of Christian undertone, but I'm not sure how Christian it really stated itself. I was
going to say, it's like, just the way you're describing it, it gives me callbacks to like some of these cults in the 90s,
Exactly.
Like,
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it definitely like harkens back to that. The way it's described, like the David Korushes and
precisely like that. The idea is that we build our own communities so that we can be off the grid from the rest of the world.
We're off the grid, and we're going to be self-sustainable.
Exactly, self-sustainable. We'll have our own water, our own supplies, our own farmland, all that stuff. But there's so much more going on.
I mean, it sounds fascinating. It sounds fascinating. So should I just watch season 3? Like just through season 1?
Hell no.
Okay, fine.
Hell to the no.
Fine. Okay, so I'll be in my car.
If you can't seem to finish, I would actually respect you watching season 4 opener on Sunday. The reason being is it's kind of like the way I am on this show. And I purposefully don't read the comics, so I have a point of view where I can appreciate the show as the show. It is. In a minor way, let's say by you watching the season 4 opener, having not even watched the previous seasons, you can see how the episode stands on its own. I think it's important to also be able to walk into a show and not have it depend too much on previous episodes. I'm not saying like one-off episodes like a sitcom, but what I mean? Like where the situation's resolved in a single episode. No, but it's more like, I can appreciate the scene. I think I know what's kind of going on based on this episode. The characters are establishing enough of a mood so that I know kind of who they are.
Right.
That's something you can appreciate just by watching a show midstream.
I'm still going to try because I figure like these episodes are an hour. Without commercials, it's got to be 40 minutes?
Barely.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at my calendar, and I actually have errands to run on Saturday, so I might be able to sit in my car and like.
Eddie has errands to run. Just tell him that you've got it. It's his research. It's for your third job.
For my third job, I know.
Your first job being a mom.
Mom 1, wife second, employee third.
Right.
God, it's a lot of jobs.
And then this way you could pour on the guilt. And then it's my fourth job, Eddie.
Yeah.
Speaking of company. Remember last week? That's how I just randomly segued. I'm kind of doing that right now.
That's fine.
Speaking of company, I kind of want to focus on Gregory and Simon.
Well, that was at the start of the episode, wasn't it? Well, not at the very start, but like within the first 10 minutes. Because I feel like at first it was Carl's letter, which honestly, were you impressed with that letter?
I was a little. I mean, I didn't want it to be something unbelievable because nothing is going to be unbelievable enough to.
I thought the letter was
to change Rick's mind, in my opinion.
I thought the letter was okay. I think it'll resonate more like in this week's episode because I think that there's a clip of Carl as a child walking with Rick or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's going to be a punch in the stomach. So, all right. But like the letter itself was okay. If I would have seen the visuals, then it probably would have been like, oh,
along with the letter? Yeah, maybe.
Along with the letter, maybe. Because it's like, I'm just seeing Rick and I'm like, well, you're a murderer, so whatever.
Yeah, so what?
Exactly. I'm like,
your kid died, who cares?
Yeah, it was like, I care, but clearly you don't because it's like, you're on a bloody rampage. Way to honor his last wishes, dude. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make it real.
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to kind of focus on this Gregory Simon scene because there's something to be said about that scene. And it's not about necessarily what happens, but the theme behind it. And that's the idea of, okay, I'm just going to say the idea of juice.
Yeah. Like, what was all that about? I don't think I understood it.
It's a weird thing. I think Gregory kind of just stumbles on it and just latches onto it. But there's value in what he's saying. And it's that he kind of weirdly gets how people work, much in the sense that Negan understands how people work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
I mean, now, specifically, it's in the realm of politics. You know, some people like, let's say, I'll say Negan, but you could even say enigmatic characters like Caesar, like Trotsky, Stalin to a certain extent. I mean, all these different people, these charismatic leaders, whether they're benevolent or tyrants or dictators, there's a quality to them that Negan has. Now, Gregory doesn't have that. What Gregory has is he's just this embodiment of politics. And there's a certain sense and quality of politics, let's just say, where if you do it right, you could move communities. Right. And I think that Gregory bringing this up highlights something that we will need after the war.
True.
We will need to have diplomats, people of political quality that can motivate people in a way that is not out of force.
I agree.
And as much as I detest Gregory in a way,
come on, you know you love him.
I do. Okay, Xander Berkeley aside, the reason why I detest him is because he's a politician.
Right. I mean,
it does highlight that point.
It does highlight that point. He very much is a politician. You're right.
Other than that, he's a coward. Bottom line.
Well, I mean, he's political. I mean, he plays both sides of the fence, you know, whatever like allows him to kind of, you know, survive. And
Right. Well, he's like anybody else. It's kind of like what we brought up at the beginning of the season. He's just like everybody else, except he does have a slight charm. He does have a gift, I think, with being able to get people to, like, moving around chess pieces. He has the ability to get people to do things out of necessity. And so the reason why the scene I think is prescient is because, and the reason why I don't think he's done is that I think the coming world is going to need Gregory's in a way.
Right.
Even if he's not in the same position as he was before, I think he will be relied on for a little bit of counsel, especially if we're going to be dealing with the government.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like he is a politician, and I mean, and this goes back to what, you know, Michonne and Carl have been. I still don't understand the juice line.
Oh, that's what I mean by all of this. You know, he is the juice that keeps the momentum flowing. Do you understand what I mean?
All right.
See, now with Simon and Gregory in the same room, you have Simon who leads by force. He's the leader.
Yes.
Now, Simon does have somewhat of an optics problem because you can't just keep doing the same thing.
Right. No, for sure.
And expect people to continue following you without going, okay, this guy is
kind of.
I'm not sure if. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I want to follow this guy that much longer.
Yeah.
I just went from one frying pan to another frying pan.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that he gets it. But I think it was funny, some of the points that he said when, you know, Gregory was trying to say, like, you know, hey, you know, like, put me in with Negan and, you know, let me convince him. And Simon was like, well, you know, I am Negan, and not in the collective way.
Right.
Like,
right.
like it's me. And then all of a sudden Gregory switches gears. It's like, like I knew you could do it.
Exactly.
It's like, Negan, what did he say? He pulls his punches. It's like you don't.
Yeah, I've never been more impressed, by the way, but also eye rolled.
Yeah,
before in my life. I'm like,
so
wow,
fast.
that was really good.
really fast. But I do love the fact that like Simon was like, so that you can understand, it's like, I can't really be seen with you. He's like, so ergo, you go.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good.
But I even though Simon is gone, I did like the way that scene shook out. Like instead of ending Gregory,
yeah, he was like, Gregory, can you make coffee?
Yeah, that Gregory could make this homicidal maniac just flip around.
Yep. He's like, we'll start there.
He was a goner. That's why I'm so impressed. Like I'm so impressed. You turned this homicidal maniac around on something he would have definitely followed through on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'll say one more line. The bare-knuckled nad mash. It's just something so perfect in terms of framing the idea of politics.
Yeah, that's politics for you. It was a good scene, though.
Yeah. What better to maintain momentum than a fresh pot of coffee? Wouldn't you say? Every morning?
Yeah, absolutely. I need that 100%.
Yeah.
4 jobs.
Grind those nads. Anyway,
and
that's why I think there's a value to having Gregory around, and that nothing could make me happier to see Xander Berkeley in a couple more episodes at the very least.
Yeah, he's got some time.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I seriously thought he was a goner in that scene, though.
Did you?
I was literally commenting on his Instagram, hey, I'm really kind of worried right now that this is the last we're going to see from me. By the way, this is Dave, even though I'm commenting you from
your biggest fan.
From the Squawking Dead account. Well, I tried to keep it a little cool.
I know you do. No, you do. Like, I know. That's the thing. It's like, I don't even try to say anything to like Jeffrey Dean Morgan because I'm just going to fangirl out and I don't want to do that. But
yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, also, what's left to say? There's like enough said quality to him, like I just like it and move on. Like you say it all, buddy.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I never thought at any point that something was happening to Gregory. I don't know why. I just kind of figured like he is. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I didn't have.
You weren't worried about him in that scene.
No, I didn't suspect that Simon was going to do anything to him for some reason. I don't know. Like I just kind of, in my mind, Gregory's safe for now. He's going to make it out and continue, being his little political self for now.
Right.
Yeah, at least. That was just my take on it. So
that's interesting. Okay.
But with Simon, I've known that it's coming. Like with Simon, it was like, okay, well, this is definitely happening.
Yeah,
I don't know when.
We both knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this? It was nice to see one final scene with the Og couple.
I know.
That was really sweet.
I'm glad that they had that. They're actually really good friends, I think.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned that how they. And by the way, you were right about that. How they were living together at one point.
Yeah, I remember hearing on the radio how they had these artsy kind of projects that they were working on, side things.
Right. And basically he confirmed it by saying busted.
I know. Oh my God. I fangirled over that.
That was like the first comment that I actually posted in my own Instagram cover stories.
Yes.
Because I was kind of like, can a man gush?
That is significant. You very well can gush. I would gush all over.
Yeah, we could, well, okay.
No, it's
that is not getting edited out.
I agree. That is a big deal. I mean, please.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if I left a comment on like Denai Guerrera's Instagram and she like responded, I would be like, holy crap.
I mean, you have my full permission to call, text, send a voicemail, send a flare. Don't shoot at my house, but I just moved in. But
yeah,
I'm so excited! I'm gonna just shoot flares at your house.
I know. I would. So exciting. But yes, Gregory, I don't know. In my mind, he was safe.
Very impressed with your analysis on that because I was.
You were concerned.
I had to text him to let him know I was worried for him.
I don't know for some reason.
For Xander Berkeley.
Gregory just for some reason, Gregory's one of these people that to me strikes me as a survivor, but in a way that is obviously not in a respectful way. Nobody respects Gregory.
Right.
However, he does what he has to do in order to survive, even if it means being a sniveling, cowering person.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care. He has no shame.
Exactly.
And that's led him to this point where he is still alive.
I feel like he's finding deeper levels levels of which he could, like, because, I mean, this scene is very out of character in a way. He is literally facing down his own possible demise.
I was a little concerned there when that was going on. I was like, oh, God, well, something's going to happen. Simon's not going to let him just talk to him like that.
And it did.
Yeah, I mean, he put him in his place, but, you know, all right, we'll start with a coffee boy, you know?
He has the best shit-eating grin, you know? Xander Berkeley, perfect.
Yeah, Xander Berkeley.
It's a compliment to his acting skills, to be honest. You know? Can't do it better.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Then we moved on to Oceanside, in which... All right, but
snooze? Is that what you're trying to say?
Snooze. I don't care, but okay.
I don't either. In a way, I don't either.
Care. I don't. I know it will likely come into play.
Yeah.
From like a plot perspective. Like, okay, Aaron's going over there. He's trying to convince him. But here's the thing. To me, it just felt so overdramatic.
Aaron more specifically.
Yeah, like I'm wasting away. I'm starving. Oh, I'm going to kill this walker and I'm going to pass out on like the leaves, dirty leaves on the ground and all this stuff, and the ladies are just going to be like, well, we told you we're not going to help. So.
Well, he's like literally martyring himself. Just
exactly.
to kind of prove a point, like hunger striking.
Yeah, I have no patience for that. So
I mean, I'm not saying boo, but
no, I'm not saying boo, but like in terms of like when I was watching it, I was kind of like, okay, can we get through this so we can get back to the sanctuary? You know, like I wanted to get back to what's going on at the sanctuary.
Yeah,
you know, because clearly there was a lot going on there. I was like, Gregory's up in there, Simon's there.
They could have just done one scene too, by the way. They did two to illustrate this point, but they could have just done away with the first one basically.
Yeah, it just was kind of like they could have had one scene and it would have sufficed, and that would have been fine, and we would have gotten the point that like, okay, Aaron's out there, he's working hard to try and convince these ladies to come to their side
with the silent protest. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's all we needed to know. I'm like, we don't need to keep going back to it. Unnecessary.
Right.
So. But
I think Bob Kirkman's plan to desensitize us and make us not watch the show anymore, it's finally starting to affect us.
Oh my God.
Like, we just don't care about these heavy goddamn scenes anymore. I mean, there's only so much punishment we can take, by the way, before we're like, okay, snooze, move on.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, fine.
30 seconds ahead with my DVR.
Like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, pass Oceanside. Okay, all right, Eugene. Okay.
Where's that TiVo noise? Bloop, 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 bloop.
I know. Does TiVo still exist?
Okay, I just dated myself.
No, but does TiVo? I remember TiVo. I mean, we're the same age, so yes, I recall TiVo.
I was trying to save you, huh? But I don't think they do necessarily anymore. I think they might have just sold their patent or something. And
they probably sold it because now everything is DVR. Like the cable companies each have their own respective
sound.
Yes. Yeah. Not even sound. It's all quiet now. It's like,
it's a shame. That sound was something.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
I missed the little things in life, Carol.
Don't even get me started. I was going to send you a message today because I had to go to the eye doctor and get my eyes dilated. I was like, God. And I told my sister, and she was like, did they give you those old lady visors when you left? Because like the sunlight. I was like, yeah, they did.
Did you take a selfie?
No.
Are you shitting me?
I didn't think about these things.
That would have gone on my next stories. I mean,
I couldn't even see the type on my phone. Like I couldn't I could see general things.
Like a walker. You were a walker.
Oh my God. But it's like, but a phone. I mean, Eddie texted me from like the airport and I couldn't even respond because I was like, I don't know any of this. I don't see any of it. I mean, which is fine because I mean, he was just giving me information. It's not like I had to go pick up anybody, but still I was like, I can't read anything.
I was always wondering if walkers can basically only see light and general objects. You kind of answered that question for me now. Okay, there is enough in the field of view for a walker to be able to do something with that.
Yeah, I mean, like with me, it's like
it's compared to a walker.
I know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Internet.
So in my experience, having my pupils dilated, it was what we think a walker experience would be. I mean, I could see, but I could not focus. And then as my vision started to improve, everything still looked like it had a halo effect. Like everything was in a sort of dream-like Carl's vision of the future kind of look.
like having dirty glasses and looking at a street light.
Sure.
Sure, why not?
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
so that was my day today because, we're getting old, 40s 40. It is what it is. So
I hear you. I really hear you.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I keep forgetting. I think we're the same age too. By the way,
are you 40? I'm 38.
I just turned 39.
Okay, I just round up to 40.
Let's get this shit over with.
It's like I just round up.
Yeah, I just bought my tombstone. We're good.
I do. Like some women are like, no, I'm 30. I have a friend who like put her age on or her birthday was up, and I think that she mentioned something that she was like 35 or 34, and I was like, like I don't think that's true. But
oh, meaning she lied.
Right, and I don't feel that. I don't care. Like I don't care enough to lie. I'm like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, we watch a show where people living in the apocalypse do not care about hygiene. No. I'm not going to lie about my age. That brings me to a really bad segue.
Segues.
No, this is going to be really random. So speaking of Negan's plan to take the hilltop, the one thing that I noticed after watching, I think 3 times already, is Negan's actual plan for the hilltop is very similar to Rick's plan for them at the beginning of the season. So not only did we have that montage in the beginning of, I think, of episode 12 or 13, now we're having the exact same plan. They're going to starve them out. They're going to pick them off if they try to escape, that sort of thing. So,
well, I think it's very interesting, and it didn't come to
poetic.
me. Well, it's very poetic too, in the sense that if you think about it, the first episode of the season was Mercy, and now we're ending with Wrath. That's going to be the name of
God.
So it's kind of bookended, Mercy, Wrath.
And I never pay attention to these episode titles too, but that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It is.
It has potential to be very poetic overall.
Yeah. I mean, it might end up going down the same way. It seems like they get out of the hilltop,
right?
Maybe on purpose, maybe not. Maybe they were supposed to go back to hilltop after they ventured out and all that, but. We obviously know that Negan's plan, it doesn't go the way he wants it to.
Right.
But it's fun to think of how it's going to end up turning out, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll be very curious to see how it all goes down.
And the fact that it's a callback to the beginning of the season, the way it's playing out, the same exact kind of plan, maybe. It's kind of like you said about Team Negan. It's that you're almost kind of on Negan's side. If it wasn't for the fact that they're kind of trying to genocide them right now.
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing that kind of, and the concubines. That's
flipped.
The thing that always throws me off.
But otherwise, it's flipped in a way.
I think that they definitely have been trying to set up Negan as a character where you can kind of see where he's coming from. And I do. And again, like, I feel like he's been kind of driven to the position that he is now. I don't absolve Negan from everything that he's done. However, I will say that when we get to Eugene and Rosita and satisfactory, because that is coming up. I think Eugene brought up a very good point.
Stage the scene, because...
Yeah. He's in the factory, and less a factory, more of an assembly line, to be honest. But they've been given the directive to make these bullets, and he's kind of very doubtful that they'll be able to do it.
He's trying to encourage them, right.
Although he is being very much a douche to the 2 ladies that basically came and brought them food. Sardine mac and cheese. That's disgusting, dude. That's gross.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
We're going to talk about the sardine mac and cheese.
Because if I don't end up going to Survival Sunday, I will be making sardine mac and cheese.
You're going to try it? You're going to try it?
I will do an Instagram live video of me making it.
God.
And then I'll do another Instagram live video of me eating it.
Oh, I mean, the fish and the dairy and fish just don't go together.
I will say one thing. I've had uni mac and cheese, which is blowfish, I think, or puffer fish.
Oh, really?
In a Japanese restaurant. So there is something to that. So now uni, the way it's prepared is it's kind of salty. It's kind of like almost like ham, like a salted bacony ham kind of thing. But it's fish, obviously. So... Mixing that in with the mac and cheese, it becomes like a very safe. So I'm a very savory dish. So I'm tempted. I'm kind of like saying maybe there's something to this. And now here's the thing. I'm gonna make it myself. I'm not gonna make the noodles from scratch, but I won't be using like Kraft mac and cheese. But I'm tempted to do that to see how authentic I can get.
Kraft mac and cheese is good. I have like a whole crate of Kraft mac and cheese.
Well, okay, bear with me. Bear with me. Because I mean, I don't think Kraft mac and cheese is bad necessarily.
No, I know, but it's not.
But I think making it yourself, making the Mornay sauce and baking it in the oven, that sort of thing. I love doing that, and I'm actually pretty good at it. So to make a sardine mac and cheese, maybe with some, instead of like a cheddar, I'll do it like with one of those whiter cheeses like Gruyere and Gouda or something smoky, right?
Yeah, for sure.
As if you need more smoky, fishy, salty flavor. Why not? Let's just lean in.
Lean in all the way.
So yeah, a little garlic, a little sardines.
It's always good.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
I guess everybody will know how it's going to turn out.
Providing you don't go to Survival Sunday.
Providing that I don't go to Survival Sunday.
There you go.
But the way he eats it, by the way, that's the selling point. The way he eats it. And that's why I tried to ask somebody. He's not on social media, Josh McDermott, which is a whole of the story, which we can't get into.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah, because of the way he was being threatened online. But
yeah.
I was trying to find somebody that would answer the question of, please, somebody ask Josh McDermott if they really gave him sardine mac and cheese, because I want to know. I just want to know that it wasn't a prop.
Well, I hope that they didn't give him sardine mac and cheese.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope that it was just mac and cheese.
I wanted to see if it was like a method thing, like he needs to be there, like he needs to be in the mood, like for it. I don't know.
Poor guy. I hope not. Josh McDermott actually seems like a really cool guy, and they just, don't
put
do
it
that.
through the ringer. So so moving on. Yes, he's mean to the ladies.
Father Gabriel
catches Gabriel in the act.
So, did he mention something about Father Gabriel's sickness, that it was like airborne, that whatever he has that was not entirely related to the whole Walker thing? Like, is that what he was trying to say? Because I was like, whoa, what are we talking about here?
Well, like it could be. I mean, see, the thing is, he made a very specific point about no blood-to-blood contact. So whatever he has, it's definitely airborne. If it was blood-to-blood contact, he'd be done.
To be losing his vision, though, that's significant.
Well, I mean, if you have an untreated fever, that's definitely one of the side effects.
Gosh, blindness? Wow.
Yeah, it's almost like, kill me now anyway. I might as well be dead.
Yeah, well, pretty much. It's like, that's why I don't think Gabriel's making it past, like, this season. I mean, like, at the state that he's in. I mean, do you
I'm
really
wondering.
want to? I don't know. I mean, I thought that was an interesting comment, though, by Eugene, like kind of talking about what Gabriel's has, like his condition, because, I mean, that is something that's been talked about a lot.
Well, I think it was brought up specifically to wrap up some questions.
Questions about that, yeah.
Yeah, like, why did Gabriel live when all these other people turned?
Right.
And he explains, basically, it wasn't a blood-to-blood sort of contact.
Right, and the antibiotics and the house that he took, that sort of thing.
Right, because you don't turn because you get, breathed on by a walker. You turn when there's a scratch, a significant scratch, or a bite. So getting cut with gut-soaked weapons.
Right.
That will do it.
I mean, that makes sense. So I thought it was good that they kind of commented on that, because obviously there were a lot of questions about it. But Gabriel is, very conflicted. Eugene notices that some of the bullets that he's producing are defective. They have like a ding, kind of like they're dinged up a little bit. Like they kind of did a close-up or something like that.
Actually, specifically though, it was basically where the trigger hits the back of it. When it does, and it's flush, the bullet will fly through, right? Because it hits the gunpowder. The gunpowder, it sparks a thing. It sparks a thing. Okay, it's a thing.
It's fine. We're not ammo experts here. We're not military.
Right. It lights up the gunpowder in the back. That burns up and propels the bullet forward. Right. Okay. So what Gabriel was doing is he was not making the back part where the trigger hits it flush,
and that basically would throw it off.
Not only and what Eugene was trying to say is that not only would it throw it off, but you could have killed a savior, basically.
It would backfire completely.
Yeah, it not only would not work, it would like explode in the person's hand, and you would have hurt somebody, you would have taken a hand off, let's say. And so Eugene was basically saying, he was basically trying to get into Gabriel's head saying, you really don't want this, do you? You're not that kind of person, are you?
Right.
And so I thought that was clever. I don't know if I don't know my guns. I don't know my bullets.
No, me neither.
But I'll take Eugene's word for it in light of my lack of knowledge.
Sounded convincing to me. What I was more interested in is just, Gabriel just going through this, conflict and bringing up about locking the parishioners out, back when he was introduced. And he's still looking for his purpose.
Yeah, well, he's in the same position now that all the other people were in, Carol and Rick and Morgan. Well, Morgan's kind of still there. Rick looks like he may be coming out of it a little. But this is what ends up happening. You have these people that are frightened that they'll slip into their old behaviors, the way they were before, or maybe right after the apocalypse. So, so you have just one more person added to that list. And even Eugene, to an extent, does this, as we'll see in a few. Because
no, you're right. That's true.
Right, he goes out to test the rounds, and then Daryl and Rosita basically capture him.
Yeah, that was fast.
Yeah, I thought that was too. And so as they're taking, he starts a little bit falling back. Like he's still trying to puff his chest.
Empowering. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, he starts to puff his chest a little bit, or trying to really kind of appeal to their better nature, but they were not having that. They shut him down so hard. And it's just interesting to see how he was trying to hold on to his clout that he's received with the Saviors, and maybe even try to appeal to their better nature, and because he's built up like a certain amount of equity when it comes to finally finding a place where he's productive and contributing.
But he did bring up to Rosita, it's like, Rick got us into this, and which obviously set her off, but it needs to be said. It is true. I've been saying it. Rick went on word from Gregory to basically go into that satellite station and kill all those Saviors in their sleep, for also essentially the same arrangement that they had with the Saviors, because it was all to get half of the Hilltop's food. I mean, isn't that the same deal that they had with the Saviors?
That's a good point.
I mean, so basically it was extortion on Rick's part too.
Well, I think it was more like a half and half sort of thing. Like, we'll give you this and you'll give us that by the end of it. I think they were trying to establish commerce, like a kind of trade system.
Still murder for hire.
Well, let's be fair though, because I think Gregory tried his best to dissuade Rick to not do that at first. Basically, almost like to the point where he was shrugging him off, and then I think it's fair to say that I think in Gregory's mind, could this be the guy? Could this, because he's obviously shown that he's capable. So maybe he could be the guy. He killed one of his guys flat out.
Oh yeah,
right from the beginning, the Hilltop guys.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So why not? Why not Rick? Right? So
yeah. Eugene gets captured, but manages to get away.
Right. He sees his opportunity. He vomits some sardine mac.
Were you expecting that when they were showing his fingers? Because they were like showing his, and I was trying to figure out, is he going to mimic a gun, like to kind of like make it seem like he has a weapon or something?
But vomit is his superpower.
Projectile vomit. That's his weapon. But that's very Eugene. Like Eugene is another one who has no shame.
Right. I love that they did that. Are you kidding me?
No, I do. Yeah. I do, because that's very in character, So it provided like the getaway or the distraction that he needed to get away. And here's the part where I'm sort of like, that's not necessarily totally believable. The hiding that he did in the ashes.
Very Warner Brothers. Let's just put it that way. Looney Tunes.
Very Looney Tune-ish, yes. But also, you've got Rosita and Daryl. Daryl, who is like the best tracker, who can track like a raccoon because he sees a twig that's broken on the ground. Like Eugene is not a small woodland creature. He's a dude. And walking in that, you figure you'd see footprints or something, and it's a bit of a stretch, but I'll allow it.
You can see that for that one moment, it looks as though Eugene left some footprints to kind of say, okay, he stepped off of these ashes, and then he must have backtracked and flew himself into the ashes. Okay. So I think there is a cleverness to it, because look, the way they establish the actual setting is that it's urban. It's not like the woods where you can leave the scent, rustle branches, mud.
True.
So a couple of footsteps and he probably shook off all the ashes, and so But the real question is, are you kind of in a way impressed with Eugene?
I am impressed with Eugene because for the same reason that I say I don't worry about Gregory. He's another person who very much is like Gregory and will survive because they have no shame in doing what they have to do to survive. Whether it's like sucking up to Simon or making yourself throw up because it'll give you that getaway. If that's what he has to do, that's what he has to do.
Appeasing Negan, even though like there may be times where he'll challenge him. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe he has the ability to sometimes challenge Negan because he feels, because of his initial interactions, that he's kind of garnered some clout, which is not something he can easily say with Rick's crew and Rosita, especially.
I don't know if Rick even knew that who Eugene was. Like, I had to really rack my brain to think of if they ever had any interactions. Yeah, at all. You know what I mean?
I think I've seen some, but I definitely see what you mean. The fact that you even have that instinct alone is something. Yeah,
it's just like, did Rick and Eugene ever really talk at all? But meanwhile, it's like Negan, who's supposed to be the head of the Saviors, will speak to Eugene, will, listen to what he has to say. Negan understands the psychology of people. You give people some like responsibility, make them feel like they have some worth, some value, and they can go far with that. He knows how people work. He knows how people think.
Well, furthermore, did he actually specifically say in that confessional with Gregory that he worked with children? I think you mentioned something about that.
He did. Yeah, he did. He did mention that he worked with kids.
Yeah, and here's why that's valuable, because because I think post-apocalypse, in some way, we are talking about kids. They need guidance.
The same tactics,
basically, the same skills.
You can apply the same tactics, and I think he does. Like, he worked with kids, which explains a lot of his affection towards Carl, affection towards Judith.
His encouragement with certain people.
Which is why I knew that he wasn't responsible for the murders at Oceanside, especially when that episode happened. I was like, there's no way that he would have gone in and just killed everybody over 10. That is not something that he would do whatsoever.
Right.
So I'm glad that that got addressed. I think Eugene has been kind of emboldened by this, his responsibility and his value and his worth, and he feels valued at the sanctuary, which is not something that he can say on Rick's side. And the way Rosita talks to him, why would he go back with them?
They made it very clear that his skills will be valued in as much as
we're going to put you in a cell and basically only let you out when we need you for something.
Right.
And that's basically it. So it's like, if that's what I'm going back to, no, I would rather go back
I have a sense of pride, right?
You can take pride in your work.
Right. Clearly, he's showing that throughout this episode, too. And he's milking it, too. Which Eugene's will be Eugene's, right?
Right. But he manages to get away, and he manages to get back where that other savior...
Regina,
tells them that Negan's back. They're going to need all these bullets by tomorrow. And he has this renowned sense of confidence of like, yep, he wants this. We're going to deliver. And, he basically repeats what Rosita says about, let's do something with our pathetic lives.
Yeah.
What I wasn't sure about in that scene was
that specific
scene is like, he starts picking up these bullets and he starts almost like, it looks like he's hitting like something or whatever. So I'm like, is he dinging the bullets? Like, what is, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was that's what I wasn't sure. Like, and I'm obviously not an expert at anything like that.
Well, you have to remember he made the bullets initially anyway, if you remember, and which Rosita was able to use. So we know that they work. But
I wasn't sure, like, was he trying to like mess them up the way Father Gabriel did? Like, that's what I wasn't sure.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm just like, it looks like if you were to do that, you would ding them, but at the same time, I saw a clip from next week's that they've advertised, and it looks like they test out some of these bullets and they work. So then I guess he wasn't doing it. I don't know. So
what you're trying to say is Eugene is sabotaging the bullets, but why would he do that?
Why would he do that? Right.
Especially with his renewed vigor.
Right, exactly.
I mean, just to see the look on Eugene's face when Rosita goes ham on him.
Right.
It's, first of all, she turns around and he makes this face like, I'm like that bitch. Like that, like it's like a grumpy, like angry face. And it just tells me everything in the world of what he now feels in this situation. And that is, I'm not going down like this. In a way, I know I betrayed you, but I was trying to make something of my life. Maybe I think maybe in his own way, he was maybe trying to skirt a line between helping Negan and keeping them safe.
I do think that he was, though. I don't think that he was like, I mean, obviously he looks out for self-preservation, of course. But when Negan came to Alexandria and Rosita took it upon herself to take a shot at Negan, it was Eugene who said, no, I made it. I made the bullet or whatever. I mean, he didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, Negan could have killed him right then and there. He could have brought him back to the sanctuary and tortured him and whatever, like with Daryl. That did not happen. But at the same time, it's like he took the fall for that.
And
he didn't want to make the bullet and accepted the consequences. He never wanted to make that bullet for Rosita in the first place, but she, again, basically kind of threw a fit and, made him do it. He did it. She took a shot at him and he took responsibility for it. So really, I think that he cares tremendously for her. Obviously, there's some self-preservation in there too.
Sure, of course.
I don't think that by nature Eugene is a malicious, evil person. I don't think that's the case.
I think there has always been a part of him that has wanted to be more contributing. And his whole origin, or at least his introduction to the show, is pretending to have value.
Right.
And now he actually has value, and it's fulfilling.
Yeah, he has value, and he's looked at as having value.
It's weird. The interaction between him and Rosita is a lot like a ex-boyfriend who is trying to explain to his ex-girlfriend why he's in a better place. That awkward scene where it makes so much sense to him and he tries to explain it to the ex-girlfriend, but obviously from the ex-girlfriend's perspective, it's like, why the fuck are you telling me this? You're just pissing me off.
Yeah.
This has no bearing on what you did when we were together.
Right.
And how it went down, son.
Right. Yeah.
So but you have this one person and he just can't help himself by trying to explain how much clout he's gotten at it's like he doesn't understand that she's not going to understand what you're going to say, buddy. Or appreciate, sorry, that's a better word.
I think there are more convincing ways that he could express himself. He just obviously doesn't know how to. Even the RV.
Like by nature. Because he's just very awkward.
He's just very awkward. But he's done some things to try and save people. I mean, when he took that RV to try and distract the saviors when they were trying to get Maggie to safety when Negan first came on the scene.
Right.
Literally.
Maybe that'll come up too, by the way. Yeah.
Maybe. That was very, very brave. Again, that was a situation where he very well accepted the consequences that, he may not survive that. So he's done his piece to try and contribute and save them. And so for Rosita to act the way she's acting towards him, I don't think it's fair entirely.
But you know what else, though? It does bring two basic things. One, I'll start with this. It seems to me that they were trying to make Eugene something that he essentially isn't. They were literally trying to shave off a square peg to fit in a round hole. I mean, think about it. It took so much work to get to the point that he could do these brave things, and it was a struggle for him, too, even though he's found this sort of bravery. But that brings up the second point, and that's, I think in the first place, Rick's crew, Alexandria, whatever, they never utilized him the way he should have been. And that's the huge flaw, I think.
It's a huge flaw of management.
Yeah. I guess there is a value in having a single leader or something. I don't know, but
I think it's a, you could apply it to just work in general and just having people there who have certain skill sets and they're not utilizing those skill sets and they're not utilizing the people to their full potential. And that's what happened with Eugene when he was at Alexandria. They just basically tolerated him, but they just never kind of tapped into like, well, Eugene is kind of like an encyclopedia of this sort of random mishmash of information. Maybe that would be useful. Right. But they just never bothered. They were just kind of like, oh, he's weird.
Well, to be fair, I guess a person like Negan could look past the initial bullshit that Eugene pulled on Alexandria crew, like Rick's crew and Abraham and Rosita, because he was lying to them the whole time, right?
Right. Yep.
Now, when he did that to Rick's crew and all that, it ruined his credibility almost forever, let's say. And until he could find some sort of bravery. But every person that has witnessed his bravery, like except for Rosita in that moment, Abraham Ford is dead.
Sure.
The few times that you've seen...
Because he basically re-earned Abraham's
respect. And he was the one that needed to build Abraham's respect the most, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was shattered.
It's
kind of funny, the few times that he's actually tried to really be brave has been for those two people.
Yeah, because, remember, that's how we met them. It was Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene.
Right.
Like, it was their little trio for God knows how long before they met, Rick and
That's
crew.
what I'm saying. It's like, you don't really see that with anybody else necessarily. You just see it with those two. Like and I think maybe it's his own way of trying to make it up to them. You guys protected me for so long. It's the least I can do to try to protect you, throw myself in front of a bus to kind of save you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but again, goes back to the point. Maybe if Rick actually talked to Eugene
for once. Yeah.
Dr. Eugene Porter. Hello.
Dr. Eugene Porter.
Maybe he would have...
Do we know if he's an actual doctor?
That's actually a good point. Like, he does mention university and tests and all that stuff, but...
I've gone to the university and taken tests, and I'm not a doctor. So
you have a PhD in carpentry.
Yeah, there you go.
You have a BS in architecture.
That I do have.
Wow. Pat on the back. That shit's tough.
Yeah, that was not easy, let me tell you.
And it's really crazy because if you bring it back to the show, part of the reason why it's tough in the real world is because of competitions. It's just tough.
Yeah.
And now Eugene is in a world that with all these, supposedly if he is a doctor, he has all these skills with a wide open world to be able to exercise them, and yet he's still kind of useless. And maybe that's just the nature of his character, like his awkwardness. He doesn't know how to apply himself. I don't know.
Right. He's found his way more with Negan. He's a bullet maker.
Negan's giving him input. He's just pointing him in the right direction.
Well, yeah, he basically will ask him things, and Eugene responds and has ideas. The Walker wall, which honestly is a little lackluster. I wish they would have spent more time on it. Like in the comic book, the Walker wall is a wall of like walkers melted onto a wall.
That's pretty hot.
It's pretty awesome in the comic. So I was kind of looking forward to that, and I'm like, all right. But
I guess that's okay.
That's okay.
Hey, but Simon's there now.
I am secretly hoping that he's still there in the next episode.
I think he will be.
And he takes somebody out. Like the legend of Simon continues.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but he's going to be taking one of our protagonists out.
Well, maybe like
small price to pay.
Maybe like a D level. I don't know. D level. Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good stuff. Well, I could see there being a more meaningful interaction with Walker Simon with Dwight, actually. Because as we see in some of the sneak peeks, he's wearing the A sweater.
I know. Oh, that makes me very nervous. I am not fully convinced that Dwight's going to make it out of this alive.
Really? This is a change? Yeah. Why is it that you think that?
Because the thing is, we're heading into the finale. You know that there are going to be numerous casualties. I don't know where Dwight goes from here because, like I said, in the comic, he was never found out. Now he is found out. Dwight and Daryl are very similar to each other. Like they have this kind of weird sort of relationship because there's a lot of similarities. I think even Sherry said that Daryl like reminded her of who Dwight used to be.
Right.
So part of me also feels it's like, you know, like can you have a Dwight and Daryl on a show? It's almost like the Highlander, like they can only be one.
Let me run a scenario by you. As we've been talking about having this kind of in my pocket right now, just because when I see the A on Dwight's sweater,
right,
it gets me thinking, okay, this is going to be kind of like Daryl. And if that's the case, there's no Sherry to save him. So what I'm thinking is that in some way, maybe after Tara's talk with Daryl's
the one to save him.
That's the least I could do kind of thing.
I thought about that.
But he'll find a reason to do it, like somewhere in the episode.
I thought about that too. I was like, maybe this is the opportunity to see, because if they see that Dwight is now obviously a prisoner, then Daryl will know for sure that, look, Dwight really was working for us. He really was on our side and he got caught and now he's in this predicament, you know, but he really was.
And I think Daryl's just got that kind of character that if he sees that somebody's been captured in the cause of trying to save everybody,
right, then he will
go out of his way.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
That alone could be it.
That could be it, and I hope that could be it because I don't necessarily want them to kill off Dwight. I think that he still has more story to tell. But when I see him wearing that outfit, I'm like, oh God, that makes me nervous. What are they going to do to him? You know,
easy street probably.
Definitely easy street for sure.
But here's the twist. The twist is this: Daryl dies in the pursuit.
It could happen.
But in a really weird way, it would be his way of, you know how we were talking about leaving the show? Kind of a way that we can sort of swallow it.
Yeah.
There's a poetic kind of like, oh, he went out.
From a story standpoint, absolutely.
He went out coming back to himself, to the person he found.
I 100% agree. From a writing standpoint, I think it's great. I think it makes sense. From an AMC rating standpoint, I think that's
a gambit, baby. It's a really tough gambit. It's like killing off Glenn, man. Fuck.
Yeah, and we all know how that went. So if they kill off Daryl, I'm fairly indifferent to Daryl. I don't love him. I don't hate him. It is what it is. So I would appreciate and understand if they went that route and decided, you know what, like Daryl's going to die in saving this person, kind of like the way Carl did. You know, Carl died saving somebody, and if that were to happen, I think it would be very poetic and full circle, and I would get it. But I mean, you know, people will lose their damn minds if something happened to Daryl. The uproar.
Yeah, but the more we're talking about it, though, I'm not saying I'm convinced because look, it's the way the show is going to happen. It's the way it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But this show has not been shy of killing off people that we love. Like Dale,
No.
I just absolutely I love the actor, but I also love the character.
I did love the character of Dale. I did. That was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, they were dropping left and right in the beginning.
They were.
And so it was just enough time for you to actually appreciate their characters. Maybe not T-Dog as much, but
not as much T-Dog.
But Dale hanging in there as long as he did.
Yeah, Dale was a character that was memorable. Even to later seasons, like he was still brought up in terms of like
the RV fixing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's still.
You learned that from Dale, Glenn?
Yeah, that's the thing. Herschel, there were some deaths that really were like, oof, that was the tough one. To me, Dale was a tough one, and Herschel was a tough one, obviously, for many people. So
So we're due in a kind of weird way, right?
It could happen. I just wonder if they'll go there and do it. I mean, they already did it with Carl. So if they did that with Daryl, it's like, man, that's a gutsy move, man. That is a gutsy move. You know,
I would kind of respect it at this point.
I would respect it.
It's like you were saying before about Dwight, though.
Yeah.
You know, Dwight was never captured. He was not even found out until years later by Negan.
Mm-hmm.
So to have this scenario already puts several things in jeopardy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Several plot lines are way diverged in that with that respect.
Sure.
So it leaves a huge vacuum for them to do something outrageous. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I can't even tell you how.
I think it'll be very interesting. I'm very excited.
It's a great thing to not know what's going to happen next.
It is a great thing. Like I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think I'd rather be in this position where it's like I don't know what's going to happen. I sincerely don't know.
The only thing that
but I'm by no means convinced, and I don't have anything to back it up.
Yeah, I just hope that more comics readers have stuck around than have left. Because
I hope so.
I think that really shows a testament to how you take the source material, and this is Robert Kirkman's wish.
Mm-hmm.
He basically, it's almost as if AMC came up to him and said, look, we've been hearing that you've wanted to tweak The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote this book, you wrote this series, you're still writing it, but at the same time, there's a part of you that wanted to go back and reformat a couple of things.
Yeah, redo certain things, yeah.
So we're giving you that chance because we read your comic, and I think with these characters, the way you've painted out these arcs and whatever, we can take that and we can bring it to a vision that's closer to maybe either what you intended or
what you wish
something that's a little bit more, that you wish you would have, but something that is just a lot more grounded in reality.
Yeah.
With all the funny bits, sure. But
there's going to be always those comic book readers that are just insufferable. Like
Philistines.
I've heard
all of them.
I've heard them sometimes, and I'm so. Here are the two groups that irritate me.
There's
most.
two. Oof.
There's two
Okay.
groups. There are the incessantly complaining comic book fanboys that just refuse to basically acknowledge that there can be a derivative of the source material that it can be equally as good to them.
Right. It has to be canon.
It has to be canon, exactly. And it's just, no, that is absolutely unreasonable. There's a reason why there's an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay.
What's the second one?
The second faction that bothers me are my fellow female fans. Not all female fans, not all of them, but a certain portion who are obsessed with certain characters staying around purely because they think that they're attractive. And that drives me crazy. It's insulting to my intelligence.
Like as a reason to watch the show?
Yeah. And I'm just like, really? No. Like
it's like those people that watch reality television, like the Jersey Shore, right?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
At least they're watching something that has a character arc, I hope.
We just talked about how, like, 40, allow me to relive my youth. Okay.
For those of you who don't know what I'm referring to.
We're from the tri-state area.
Carol actually likes the Jersey Shore. That was just a little dig.
I was super excited. I'm not even going to lie.
I'm not hating on you either. I'm just saying that I'm just drawing a parallel.
It had amazing ratings, by the way. Largely because of me.
Yeah, you just went on to your neighbors, the neighbors that have gone away for the weekend. You turned on their TVs.
I was advertising that thing hard.
You were. It was something.
I was like,
else.
oh my God.
The GIFs just came out like mad.
I was.
Your GIF game was on point with the Jersey Shore.
I was beyond excited. Like Eddie was looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, don't act like you don't remember this.
Oh my God. And how does he feel about this? I'm just sorry. I have to know.
I mean, he's just like, all right, you want to watch it? You go ahead and use that. But I was like, you remember back in the day? Remember when we used to go to the Jersey Shore?
Well, yeah, I remember that. I don't have to relive it through people whom oh God.
I know. But the thing is, it's like when I watch the Jersey, you have to remember, I live in Miami now. So it's like, I've been away from New York for 2 years, almost 2 years. When I watch the Jersey Shore, it's like a warm blanket of love. Like it's
nostalgia.
It's nostalgia. It is nostalgia. Like, I mean, where would you go to the beach? It's like, I mean, we weren't the kind of people who go to the Hamptons. We go to the Jersey Shore. My bachelorette party.
Wildwood, you go to casino.
My bachelorette party was at the Jersey Shore.
Oh,
I mean, that's just what you do. So when I see this, I'm like, oh, youth. That's all. Wow. But I will say the interesting thing, because my sister gave me a hard time as well about watching it. And Yes. And what I mentioned to her was that it is more interesting now, though, because you're watching it and they have aged, obviously, as all of us have.
And it's kind of like a gimmick in a way.
Times have changed. They're older. Right. Some are married with kids. And as much as they want it to be the same, it can't be the same. It's still fun. But I appreciate that because I can't do what I used to do at 28, at 38. I can't. Like it's not the same anymore. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to have fun, but it's a different kind of fun. And so I appreciate the honesty in that,
Or like the attempt at trying to have this kind of fun, but you really just can't. But
really, realizing that, man, I can't really have a good time because I'm worried how my kids are doing at home. I haven't been away from them before. Stuff like that.
Well, that's what I mean about the gimmick. Like the draw to the show is this quality where they have age and you're trying to put them in a situation where they would do the same things again, but it turns out different. But you know what it is? Is like some of those things are going to be the same.
No, it is some. I was going to say, it's like, but there are those that are just still like, hey, whatever, like this is my opportunity to break out and have some fun because I'm usually at home taking care of 2 kids. So woohoo!
Oh, you're identifying.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No, I'd be the one that's like, I want to have fun, but man, what's going on at home? Did I do that? Oh, did I leave the stove on? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to just
hold on, Carol. Let me write this on my notes. Carol making a good case for the Jersey Shore. Just a random walking.
Yes. Yeah.
This is staying. I swear to you. I'm leaving this in. This is awesome.
I'm standing by that statement. Jersey
We're doing a
awesome.
Carol takedown right now.
Awesome. Jersey Shore, 100%, 150%. I am Negan and I am Jersey Shore, 100.
Whoa.
100%.
Let's mix those two things together. Negan on the Jersey Shore.
I could totally see that, dude. Totally.
We need to reach out to people to make this happen. Just as like a skit.
I could see, couldn't you see like the Negan character at the Jersey Shore?
Bro, do you have any pasta?
Yeah. What's up, bro?
Don't call me bro. I can't do his voice. You did a good impression of him last week.
Did I?
Yeah, I have to play it back for you. But I was like, that was spot on.
Really? Oh my God, I need to remember. Yeah, you know what's funny? He actually lives in New York, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, okay.
But not in the way you would think. Like you would think like New York City or, something like that.
Well, New York State, right? Upstate?
He has like a farm. He's like a farmer.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, doesn't it?
It's kind of a trend, though. I think a lot of people are doing that lately.
Yeah,
like just that's their retirement plan.
I would love to do that. Live off the land, have like animals and stuff. That'd be awesome.
I could see that part of you, but I could see you also defaulting to it's hot out with AC.
No, but I mean you can still have AC.
I know, just AC barn. I just don't see it.
You don't have to live in the barn.
It's like, where do you think farmers live, Dave?
You could have a barn, but not live in the barn.
I don't know. I'm kind of like a feast or famine kind of guy. If you're going to be on a farm, you got to live in the barn.
I'd want to do the Chip and Joanna Gaines way.
Okay, see, I was going to do that and I pulled back because I feel like if we go down the HGTV hole...
It's going to be a downward spiral.
And they just had their last episode ever.
I know. I watched it.
We looked at each other and we're like, that's it?
That's it.
It's just over. A recap episode of the seasons?
I know.
It was a sweet send-off, but still, it's hard to imagine.
They did it right. They got what they needed, and now they're like, okay, now it's time to end on a high note.
Yeah, you've got all these things going on. I'll let you do them.
Yeah, that's the way to do. End things on a high note.
Yeah. I would normally end this on a high note. I think there's one thing I just wanted to bring up before we go.
Yes.
And that's, I think Aaron's gambit at Oceanside, as snooze-fest as it was... I think it may be the linchpin to ending this conflict because I do think they're going to join.
I am convinced that they will show up. So
yeah, the way they did it was a little bit too maudlin. So
yeah, it's sort of like, okay, let's not like
woe is me.
Let's not ham-fist it. Okay, I get it. So I think Oceanside will show up. So basically, I think you're going to have the Sanctuary, obviously Rick and crew, which is at this point Hilltop, Alexandria, and the Kingdom. Oceanside will show up. Jadis is very much a wild card. I do not know.
I did write that down, right?
Where she fits in, or if we're even going to go there. Maybe we don't go there. Maybe that's something that's explored next season. I don't know.
Yeah, and that might be fine.
That might be fine.
Jadis served her purpose, in as much as we got a little bit more out of Negan. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like we got a little bit more background, in that situation. Yeah, maybe that's like the little tease. Like there's more to what's going on at the junkyard, and we will find out next season or whatever. So that might be what happens. So maybe she's not a factor.
Oh, yeah. To spend so much time blowing out her story, like how she had to put her people in the meat grinder, you know, it seems like to do all that and to not make more use of her, that would be kind of a waste. I feel like, okay, you've got another Daryl person, right? She's really pumped up the show on her side time, really using her character to kind of all the charity shirts that she's selling, basically trash queen.
Yes.
So and she's got such a grandiose personality that it's just such a good pumper up for the show, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, there is one more thing. We see in one sneak peek that as Rick's crew is pulling up on the saviors, that Negan's basically sacrificed to try to trick Rick and crew, right? So Rick and crew kill all of them and get some sort of map, right?
Yes.
Morgan slits that guy's throat, even though he's pleading for his life. It's like, I give up.
He sees Jared, right?
He sees Jared.
Yeah, I saw that. Clean. Oof.
Yeah, basically, that's cold, Morgan. That's cold.
It's cold on Negan's part, too. It's like you send your men basically to certain death.
Yeah, and again, we're reaffirming the fact that he is completely absconded with his philosophy.
Yeah, salty.
They are a resource, but a resource to be absconded with? No, I thought he valued human life.
I thought so, too, but
is it brutal. Even more of a reason to not be Team Negan? Well, maybe? I think that's the line for you, though, isn't it, though? The fact that he threw these bodies at the conflict to try to sell it.
Yeah. That's cold, you know? That is pretty darn cold. Listen, like I said, it's going to take a lot for these writers to redeem either one of these men.
So has this moved you in any way out of the Team Negan hashtag circle?
No. But I mean,
I thought I almost had you there.
I'm like, no, but I mean, no, like I said, it's like, I don't think either one of these leaders is of sound moral compass right now.
Right.
Neither one.
But if you're comparing the two,
I think Negan's a better manager.
I see.
I think that there's more. I think that,
for lack of a better comparison or whatever,
I think that Rick is acting very emotionally and not necessarily
very. Too now, though.
To an extent, but I mean, it is part of his plan. I mean, like, I don't agree with sending these men into certain death for your master plan, but it's part of your master plan. Rick went running off into the woods with his murder jacket with Morgan to just kill these saviors.
True.
For what purpose did it serve to kill them? Nothing. There's no reason to have to go and murder all those men. Like, especially when they saved you. Like, what purpose did it serve? So
that's true. That's true.
I think that Rick is still very unhinged.
Right.
Or is unhinged or whatever. Whereas like Negan is very calculated in what he does. So if I'm to say who's the more effective leader, then I'm going to say like, I think this guy's got this more under control. It's like, all right, I'm going to go with this dude over here.
But I will say one thing is that there is a concerted effort for Rick to pump the brakes at this point, finally. Like, at least not this episode, but because we don't see him really do anything. But in the last episode.
And he's not wearing his murder jacket, so I know that this is what's going to happen. It's like, okay, we're going to...
It's all about the fashion, y'all.
I mean, you know what it is? It's like the black hat. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in the Westerns where it's like, okay, the good guy wears this
Or like
hat.
in Breaking Bad. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's been used in a lot of shows, the idea of fashion or whatever kind of being the sign of, okay, the good guy or the evil
Or like color
guy.
setting a tone, right?
Yeah, setting a tone. It's like whenever Rick has worn historically that jacket, it's been either at Terminus with the Claimers. It's been in situations where he's done some pretty horrific stuff, you know? Yeah. And this time around, with the clips of next week, he is not. He's wearing a button-down shirt.
Right.
So
he is pumping the brakes. Now Negan is going full acceleration. But it would pay me not to mention this point that Michonne does make a concerted effort, kind of not as much as a Hail Mary as like, listen, if you're going to do whatever you're going to do, I know you're still
bold
out there.
Of her.
Yeah, I just need to do this to say that I did it. And whatever you decide to do, I don't know, but she reads Carl's letter to Negan, and I do think it affects him in a significant way. Even though he's not going to show it.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, no, he is showing it, but even though he's not going to act any differently.
He's holding back his emotions. He's basically pushing them down. You can tell that he's
he even
good acting.
says he even says as much in a way. Had you have done this earlier, I wouldn't have to be doing this.
Right.
You know, maybe we could have reached some sort of thing. But the way he says it is like, Rick gave me a hard time from the beginning. So you're done.
Right.
That's it. You're over.
Yeah.
And that's cow.
And that's, exactly.
Or
but I do think it had its effect. I do.
Yeah. It's planted maybe a seed, hopefully. I don't think it's going to turn out the way that we think it's going to turn out. Like, oh, all of a sudden he's gonna find a way to stop. I think it may be. I don't think he's going to stop until it's a little, not too late, but until he's forced to have to stop. Mm-hmm. If he loses, then he'll find a way to come back. You know? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he's not going to lose. And he says as much. Yeah. Winning, Michonne specifically says, Carl via Michonne, start over. Mm-hmm. And Negan, as a response to Michonne, he's saying, killing you is starting over. Mm-hmm. I erase you, I can reset the progress I've made with the Saviors, and I could keep going. You know, I can start over with another group that I find randomly. Yeah. No more talky talk.
No more talky talk.
The time for talk has passed. Yeah. And speaking of talking, another bad segue. We're going to call this Sucker Night. And for all of you that are going to Survival Sunday, hopefully I will be with you in spirit at a theater. If not, I am with you. I support you.
Absolutely.
Go in your cosplay.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see all the clips and videos because you know people are going to be posting.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. I support blowing this out, getting involved, joining a community of like-minded individuals who are there for a single purpose.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I would be all about that.
We are very excited for the season finale. Yeah. And furthermore, for me, at least, the season premiere of Fear the Walking Dead Season 4.
I'll watch it too.
Yeah. I'm counting on you, Carol. We're going to do 2 episodes next week.
I know. We are watching. I will be watching.
We're going to have a tough week next week, you and me.
No. Tough. If by tough you mean exciting, yes.
Yes. Hey, look. Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that's Walking Dead for us.
There you go. Exactly.
It's actually Confucius. Actually,
I was off.
It's attributed to Confucius, but you never know with quotes. Yeah. You never know where they come from. And with that, everybody, segue into the end.
Segue to the end. Looking forward to Survivor Sunday.
We'll see you then.
See ya.
Negan, this is Carl. I was helping someone. I got bit. We didn't even have to be doing what we were doing. I was just helping someone, and now I'm gone. You might be gone. Maybe my dad made your people give you up and he killed you, but I don't think so. I think you're still around, and you're working on a way out. Maybe you got out. Maybe you think we're a lost cause and you just want to kill all of us. I think you have to be who you are. I just wonder if this is what you wanted. I wanted to ask you. I wish I could have. Maybe you'll beat us. And if you do, there'll just be someone else to fight. The way out is working together. It's forgiveness. It's believing that it doesn't have to be a fight anymore. Because it doesn't. I hope my dad offers you peace. I hope you take it. I hope everything can change. It did for me. Start over. You still can. Carl.
All this, there is no getting out of it now. I wouldn't accept your surrender if you came to me on your knees. See, winning isn't about beating you. Winning is about killing every last one of you. That is starting over. I never wanted this. Rick made this happen. You tell him that. No more talk.